Immediately afterwards, he showed the same anxiety when urinating. Urine and feces represented to him injurious and dangerous substances. It became clear that in Dick's fantasy, feces, urine, and penis stood for objects with which to attack the mother's body, and were therefore felt to be a source of injury to himself as well. These fantasies contributed to his dread of the contents of his mother's body, and especially of his father's penis, which he fantasized as being in her womb. We came to see this fantasied penis and the growing feeling of aggression against it in many forms, the desire to eat and destroy it being especially prominent. For example, on one occasion, Dick lifted a little toy man to his mouth, gnashed his teeth, and said, "Tea, Daddy," by which he meant, "Eat, Daddy." He then asked for a drink of water. The introjection of the father's penis proved to be associated with the dread both of a primitive, harm-inflicting superego, and of being punished by the mothered, thus robbed. Dread, that is, of the external and the introjected objects. And at this point there came into prominence the fact, which I have already mentioned, and which was a determining factor in his development, namely, that the genital phase had become active in Dick prematurely. This was shown in the circumstance that such representations as I have just spoken of were followed not by anxiety only, but by remorse, pity, and a feeling that he must make restitution. Thus he would proceed to place the little toy men on my lap or in my hand, but put everything back in the drawer, and so on. The early operation of the reactions originating on the genital level was a result of premature ego development, but further, ego development was only inhibited by it. This early identification with the object could not as yet be brought into relation with reality. For instance, once when Dick saw some pencil shavings on my lap, he said, "Poor Mrs. KLEIN." But on a similar occasion, he said in just the same way, "Poor curtain." Side by side with his incapacity for tolerating anxiety, this premature empathy became a decisive factor in his warding off of all destructive impulses. Dick cut